never thought they would do it. Even the distributor, the hand cast involved.
Yeah, they were nice. Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. Yeah, it's
Oh.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Hey, how you doing? If you could give me a few minutes at the beginning, I'll explain what I did. Get you treasury and stuff, and I'll be done.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
One minute.
Round down, just stay quiet. Go.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach, Beach Talk Radio, with Kim and Ed Ryan, live from the Schoonover's Big Dog House.
And I think I fixed that up nice so that you can hear us loud and clear. Folks, we are broadcasting live for the first time ever from somebody's house. We are in the garage of the Schoonover's house in the Laguna Shores neighborhood on Fort Myers Beach. I'm sorry, go ahead. Thank you so much.
Welcome to our humble abode.
And why in the world would you invite us? By the way, Kim's not here. She's on a plane right now on her way back to Fort Myers. So she's going to miss out tonight. But why in the world would you invite us to your house? Nobody ever invites us to their house. Why would you do that?
Well, that's a good question. We'll,
ding.
We'll wait until the end for the answer.
So go ahead. Janelle and Ed Schoonover own the house, by the way, and we're here for a gigantic HOA meeting. Stephen Clark's playing outside. Jim Matterholt's going to come down and talk to us too. He's part of the neighborhood, or at least Jim Steele is part of the neighborhood, and they're related. So he was coming down, and so what is it that brought you guys to invite us here to your house?
Well, I think having you here is going to bring more of the neighbors out, and that's basically what we wanted, is more community. You know, everybody's been through this horrible hurricane, and having more people here so we can talk about our common areas, so we can talk about things that pertain to the HOA and have a bigger crowd. And I knew you would bring more people.
I don't know if that's true or not, but thank you for saying that. Now, Laguna Shores is where we are. It's a pretty big neighborhood.
Yeah, there's like 194 homes. Well, before the hurricane. there was 195 homes in the association. So I'm not sure what that number is right now.
Right. And when I was driving around earlier, it looked like you guys, like everyone else, the whole neighborhood got hit pretty hard.
Right.
Yeah, our neighborhood, the single level homes got hit hard all over the town, and I think that on the south end here we are a little bit higher in elevation, so that we've been able to see a few of the single level homes get rebuilt, and we got 2 levels, so we're pretty lucky.
Yeah.
We just lost our garage here,
Yeah,
so
a very nice house. I was upstairs using the restroom, of course, and you have a lovely house here. So thank you for inviting us over. And the HOA meeting that you're going to have, what is the purpose of it? You want to do a little swap-a-roo with the town?
Well, we're trying to figure out, first of all, who owns. We have like 6 common areas. I mean, we have the 2 beach accesses and 4 areas in the community that the HOA takes care of. And the problem is that we don't bring in enough revenue to cover the maintenance of those areas. And now that every area was pretty much decimated, it's just putting it back. And so we're just trying to find out who owns those areas.
Now you have 190 some odd houses, but it's like a volunteer HOA.
Correct.
Like most HOAs are Nazi HOAs. Like you have to pay your dues, or they'll hang you from
That's
the public
where you
square. And
Yeah.
no, we actually we pay $110 a quarter, which is like, we have the greatest HOA out in Gateway. But I mean, so it's like a volunteer HOA. You can't have an HOA halfway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 14% of your homeowners pay the dues.
Yeah.
What the hell does that pay for?
Yeah. Well, not much.
Nothing, and that's why just the reconstruction of the areas, along with ongoing maintenance, is more money than we have in the bank right now. So we're bouncing different ideas off people to come up with different ideas of how we can make it great again.
So you come down Buccaneer, like I came down Buccaneer, and I was
Yep.
driving around earlier, and there's a little, I don't know what you call it, like a little slice of land in between the way in and the way out. So you're thinking about donating that or turning that over to the town so they can make a parking lot out of it, so that the
No,
folks can walk
no.
across to
Well,
the. No, that's not it.
Well,
No.
as my grandson would say, it was a hard no by the neighbors.
Oh, I
They
see.
don't- They don't,
But that was your
want
idea,
that.
right? You wanted to do that.
Because I
That was one
listening-
idea.
I was listening to the planning and council meeting combined, and they were just talking about finding, areas to park on the south end,
Sure.
because there is no place for anyone to park. And I threw that idea out just to, find out what everyone thought. And
It was a resounding no.
yeah,
So when
Hard
you invite me to come to your house, why do you stick me in the corner? Like I feel like I'm in timeout. Like you got
Well, we
Stephen
felt-
Clark playing out in front of the
I know.
crowd, and there's like 1,000 people out there, and
We
I'm in the
got-
freaking corner.
We got friends behind you.
What? What's that?
Friends behind you.
I see.
statues.
Oh, the statues. Yeah. We got a nice new look. I wanted to show off our nice new setup here. We have a nice new tablecloth to
Very
put over our
nice.
tables, and the beach towels showed up, and you stuck us in the corner. I'm not going to sell shit here today, Ed. What the hell?
We'll try to do it better next time. That's all I can say.
I'm not coming to your HOA meeting next year. That's the end of that idea. No, so you're gonna have a meeting at like 6 o'clock. Are people gonna be throwing haymakers at each other about this whole thing, or
I hope not.
so? Janelle, you're the president.
I am
You're
the
the grand
president.
poobah of
Yeah.
the HOA.
Yeah.
Give us kind of the lowdown of what you're gonna try and propose.
Well, we've got many ideas, and we just needed the people here to voice their opinions, being it is the neighborhood. And again, we still want to make sure that is the HOA's property, because it's 10 grand to fix those areas, and that's a lot of money. And if it's not our property, the way I see it is, why spend 10 grand if we don't have to?
Right. Money is so tight these days for
Well,
everything.
exactly.
People are trying to rebuild their homes. One of the things that I did notice when I came down some of the roads is there was some construction going on.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of that on Fort Myers Beach, but I did see some people working on houses. I saw when I saw a saw and some horses out, I was like, holy shit, I haven't seen that anywhere.
Yeah.
Somebody's actually doing work on their house.
Yeah.
Do they have a permit for that?
Right, exactly. Our end of town is doing pretty good as far as building back, and we hear about people in the neighborhood that are getting permits every day that are
Yeah.
finally getting approved. In fact, we're one of them.
Yeah, you're getting a nice new pool.
Breaking news.
Got our permit today.
You got your permit today.
So all
Very
my
nice.
family listening.
Who's
we
this
got
guy?
it.
Who's this guy coming over here with this big name tag on here?
Thought he was bringing us drinks.
So when you guys, when the storm hit, you guys stayed in the house.
We did.
Because how high is your house? How big is your house? How tall?
It's 14 feet 3 inches above sea level.
Now, if for people that don't know that are watching, we're way on the south side of the beach. We're basically half a mile from the bridge.
Correct.
Right.
And when I for the first time in a long time, I actually went down to Bonita Beach Road and I came around and I saw docks and I saw some of the damage in Bonita coming back that way, and Lover's Key is still closed, and the debris pile is basically gone across from Lover's Key, which is amazing.
Yes.
That they were able to do that, but the damage down here is just as bad as the damage on the north end of the island.
Yeah.
It's
I think that
dramatic everywhere.
When we go to the other end of town, we notice that there's places, and sometimes large places, where the houses are completely missing. They're gone. We don't have that as much on the south end as I think they do in the rest of the town.
Right. But it's still it's still hard to look
still
at
bad.
down there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done for a lot of years, and so you guys stayed during the storm.
We did.
Kind of take us through what happened.
It was, actually we were down here in the garage when it started, because the wind was so bad. We didn't know what was going to happen upstairs, so we figured we were safer down here. And we were hauling stuff upstairs slowly. And I walked up with a case of water, and I looked out the front door, and it was like a river going down Lagoon.
Crazy.
And then I looked to the side, and it was a river coming down Tarpon, and the water was coming up all the manhole grates.
So the water that you saw, Janelle, was from the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, it was coming both directions.
And how far from your house is the Gulf of Mexico?
Block and a half.
Block and a half. So that storm surge, I mean, the beach isn't short. You get to the other side of Estero, then there's beach, and then there's the Gulf. So the storm surge was so massive that you have tape up here in your garage. How high did the water come up in the garage here?
Yeah, 7 feet.
Sorry, 6.5 feet is the FEMA measurement. That's where I suppose you call it like a scum line from that when the water receded. That's was 6.5 feet.
Yeah.
So.
And so you guys were upstairs watching what's going on. And what are you thinking? Are you thinking, holy shit, this water is going to come all the way up to the top of the house, and what's going through your mind?
Oh no, it came up so darn fast that it was terrifying. I don't think I've ever been so scared in all my life. Because you look at the houses across the street and you can just see the roofs, and it's just like, oh my God, when is it going to stop?
Right.
And of course, you're hoping that nobody was in those houses.
Most people left.
And because at one point there'd be nothing you can do to help them without.
Yeah,
right. What can you do?
Endangering yourself.
So you guys were telling me some stories before the show about neighbors, like strapping themselves to the pool cages. What happened there?
Sam across the street, because it was coming up so high in his house, he swam out, tied himself to his pool cage, and he said he floated there for an hour and a half.
How old is Sam?
What's that?
How old is Sam?
He's probably our age.
Okay. 30s.
Oh yeah, 30s for sure.
So is he okay?
Sure.
When you tell a story about,
I should see if he's here. Should I
Yeah,
see if he's
for
here?
sure.
Okay.
For sure. Actually, you stay here
Okay.
because that's not really contributing much. Why don't you go see if Sam's here? I mean, and he's bent over like he's got a broken back or something. So were you able to see him out the window? What was going on, or he tell you the
we
story?
thought he was not there.
When you're looking out the window and seeing all this water, can you see any of your neighbors? Or I mean, did most of the people in your neighborhood leave?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the water was over. We have the 6-foot vinyl fence in the backyard. The water was over top that, so you couldn't even see the posts.
Gotcha.
So
Now, when you said you saw the water coming up, I'm sure most people are thinking when the water's coming up, how high is it going to go? Like,
yeah,
are we going to drown in our house? Is it going to go up 100 feet?
yeah.
But most people said that as quick as it came up, it dropped back
It
down. Was
started
that true?
to drop down again, and then it came up again.
No kidding.
I mean, and that totally freaked me out.
And you have two dogs.
2 Great
Were they-
Danes.
Oh,
yeah.
Great Danes.
Yeah.
Were they here with you?
Oh yeah.
Were they freaking out?
The puppy wasn't. She's like, oh,
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
the older one,
Totally
now
freaking
the
out.
wind picks up and she
Sorry, I
freaks
couldn't
out.
find him. So I'll come back here and not contribute much.
Yeah, I mean, bring your A game, bro. I mean, geez, come on. So, so you said so the guy that tied himself to the pool cage is okay.
Yeah.
Now, Stephen Clark, who's here playing,
Yes.
also lives in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Yes.
down the street.
So, what else can you tell us about your neighborhood or any of the neighbors? Are they staying? Are they selling? Are they demolishing their homes? I mean, I look out the window here, and this guy didn't fare too well, like compared to you guys.
No, he had just studs, a roof and just stud walls. And
There was
that's it.
basically one wall left of that house across
No
the street.
kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But what we spent the next 3 days doing was checking on people's houses for them because we were basically trapped here. We had no vehicles,
Right.
no way to get off. We have 2 Great Danes. It's a long walk. It's about 7 miles ish to the other end of the island to walk
Crazy.
across the bridge. And animal control finally got us out of here.
Animal control.
Animal control.
So
finally got-
Lee County Animal Control.
It was
'cause-
Miami, wasn't it?
Well, Miami, they sent the Miami High Water Rescue here to pick us up because we had these 2 huge dogs.
How did they know you had dogs?
They were outside in the yard.
Okay,
They
so
were they were around the neighborhood checking on everybody's animals to make sure you had dog food.
no
and,
kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that.
No,
And
they
so
were awesome.
How long were you in the house before you left the house?
We left on Sunday, so I believe it was 3 days.
3 days.
The
No power, no water, no,
No,
way
we
to go
had
to
We
the
plenty
had
of,
the
like-
bathtubs filled up with water, so we could at least.
we had plenty of water where the dog food was brought upstairs. We had beef jerky, peanuts, stuff like that. And we could have survived, but honestly, once they started finding casualties around our house, I had to get out of here.
What do you mean?
No, there's dead people in the lagoon over here and in the canals and
From the neighborhood.
yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
yeah.
So when you guys leave the neighborhood, where'd you go?
We went to my sister's house, which stayed there for
Where she lived?
in Bonita
In
Springs.
Bonita.
They weren't down yet for the winter. We stayed there for a few weeks, and then we found a rental. Stayed there for a couple months.
And did you try to come back to the house at all, or there was no way to get back on the? That was when it was blocked off.
Yeah, I came back like the 2 days before they closed it off.
Mhm.
But then, they closed. It's like, dang it! If I knew they were going to close it off, I
Would have
just would have
stayed.
stayed.
Yeah, because people were worried about their house molding and
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just growing.
But you know,
Yeah.
the thing is too, and I remember talking to Chief Martin about this, their number one priority was search and rescue at the time, trying to find people who had passed away and trying to find people,
Right.
are they in their
Yeah.
house and they didn't get out. And so, I mean, where's the rule book for that? Like, where do you go back and I mean, I'm sure maybe there is one somewhere, but it had to be crazy for everybody on the island, not knowing if people in their neighborhoods were alive or what's going on with their house. And it was just mayhem. It was mayhem back in so you finally get back to your neighborhood when?
As soon as we got power and water, we came back.
Okay, so that was a
So-
while after.
As
That
soon as we got water, we came back. We
Yeah,
went
'cause we
another
didn't have power right
probably,
away.
I don't know, a week or longer
Yeah,
without electricity, but just kept a fan. I mean, it was very hot then. So
yeah.
we had a fan running and
How'd you go to the bathroom?
I can't hear Ed very well.
How do you go to the bathroom?
How did you go to the bathroom back then?
Well, we
I
Do
can't
you
see.
really want to go there again?
We still had water. Water from the toilet. We still flush, or water.
You could
from
still
the
flush.
tub
I see.
Would flush. The
I don't know why I
toilet.
asked that question. That was a silly question.
We
Yeah.
were fishing water out of the pool and dumping it in the tank of the toilet to get it to
No
flush.
kidding.
But the people
Yeah.
that were on the lower levels in their homes, they were having trouble because I've heard of people's toilets that actually exploded because
Wow.
because there must have been a surge in the wastewater system too,
Jeez.
and blew their toilets out.
That is crazy. So how are you guys dealing with all this mentally?
Oh, I'm crazy.
Yeah. You just kind of.
Like you
You just
said, you
expect-
said you were in shock. Like when you
I was
first.
for a long
Yeah.
time. I think I still am a little bit when I think about people that passed away in our neighborhood within eyes, view. That's a tough pill for me to swallow. It's very hard.
You can never unsee that. You can never unsee that.
Right.
No, I'll never unsee it.
No,
So-
and it's just that the memories keep coming back. You think, okay, we're on the right path now. We're getting our house fixed. We're doing A, B, C, and D, and then you plan a trip to Minnesota and you need your wool socks. Well, you don't have your wool socks because they were in the RV and they went out to sea.
Right. You guys
know?
lost how many cars in the garage? Two cars in an RV.
2 cars
Yeah,
in the
2.
RV.
I was a
Yeah.
couple days you had to wear my underwear. I don't know if you needed to hear that.
No, not at all.
No.
I'm thinking your underwear might have been a little too big for her. But we could talk about that after the show.
Okay, well,
This is a
looking forward
PG
to that.
show.
I know Kim's out of town.
So now I completely lost my train of thought about what I was,
Sorry about that,
I was
Ed.
going to ask you next. But shit. So
Did
then
you
I know
wanna
what it
talk
was.
to Carol and Tom?
Sure, let's bring them
Because
over.
They went through a lot.
I should have brought more headphones because it's loud in here.
It's very hard to hear you.
Yeah, it's very loud in here.
I'll sign off when
It looks like everybody from the neighborhood is here. Like the entire HOA is here.
Well, we're getting close. It's a good turnout, and that's why we had Stephen Clark play, and
Yeah.
that's why we had you come, because we wanted to make sure that we get input from everybody in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
about what to do with our
Well,
common areas.
You guys
All
have
right.
been great friends to the show. It's a pleasure to be here. And Alex King is here. Alex King is holding a baby.
Well,
Well, not a baby, but how old do you think that young boy is? 2?
I'd go with 3.
3.
I'd go
Now,
with 3.
Alex King probably doesn't have a 3-year-old, so I'm guessing that is somebody else's child. So,
Well, are we joining? Is Mike Poff is joining us? it
Mike
appears.
Poff. Let's hear from Mike Poff. Mike, how are you?
I am not the Mike Poff engineer that works on the beach. I'm
That's
a different
right.
Mike Poff.
That's right. Mike Poff is the engineer.
The thing that we got to stress here is we are trying to get our channel dredged out here from Carlos Pass to Buccaneer Lagoon. Everybody uses this channel. All the captains use it. All the
Okay.
tour boats use it.
Mike, when you say channel, is not a canal? It's a
No,
channel.
it's a channel. It's
From-
a dredge
goes from-
channel.
Goes from where
right
to
out
where?
here.
Where to where?
And the city has the city has agreed to pay half, and we pay half. But since we've had the hurricane, we qualify for emergency dredging.
Yeah.
But we've got to get. I've got forms out here for people to send to all their congressmen, all their representatives. We have got to hound them to get our emergency dredging done. It will save us $600,000.
So what's the delay?
Yeah.
What's the delay? What's the problem? What's the delay?
You have to talk to the city.
Okay. Well,
We have presented it to them. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have everybody here try and send letters to the congressmen and senators. And the other thing we've got to do is we've got to get them to declare
Yes.
IN as a national
Yeah.
disaster
that's been crazy.
so that we can get our money from the IRS.
that
on
whole
this.
thing's been
And they
crazy.
have not done
what,
that.
What? I mean, I know Congressman Donald's.
That's on the federal level. And the dredging is on the federal level. It's on the Corps of Engineers.
I know.
That's who has to do it.
I know Congressman Byron Donalds and Senator Rick Scott have all been working on trying to get this declared a national emergency or whatever the proper terminology is for the taxes. But
Right.
I think I don't want people to get pissed off at me, but I think it has to do with the Democrats don't give a shit about Florida because the Florida is
And
mainly
that's exactly what we're hearing from Washington is that the Democrats will not let it go through.
yeah, which is crazy. I mean, it was nearly a Category 5 hurricane.
Exactly right.
So
And there are many Democrats that live on this island.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the problem
where
is.
are they located?
Yeah.
Not on Buccaneer or Lagoon, are they?
Well,
Are there any Democrats here
there's
today?
a few. Not many. There's a few.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
we love them all.
try
We
and
love
weed
them
them
all.
out,
Yeah.
but- No, I'm just kidding.
So,
We
Mike,
got to get that done. We've
Yes.
got to get that done, and I will go over that with the group here. And the more letters we can send in, all these people understand in Washington is volume. That's all they understand.
Yes, that's right.
You hit them, hit them, hit
That's
them.
right. I
and
agree with
eventually
that.
they'll make something
So,
happen.
Mike, do you live in the neighborhood?
Pardon?
Do you live in the neighborhood?
I live right across the street.
Where were you during the storm?
I was in Canada.
Oh, okay,
I
so
came back 3 days after the storm, and we rented a boat to get on because they would not let us on.
right.
And we started working on our property. We were back in our property before Christmas.
And how did your house do?
Pardon?
How did your house do? What kind of damage?
We had 6.5 feet of water, total destruction, but my wife and I have done this for years. We kicked ass, took names, and we got it done.
Under the 50% rule?
Pardon?
You were under the 50% rule, so you're able to rebuild and everything. All right, Mike. Well,
Got her
we definitely.
done. But anyway, I
thank you.
appreciate the forum. We've got to get those letters sent in.
I agree with you. Thank you very much. Mike Poff, everybody. A big round of applause. If anyone in the audience could hear us, they'd be cheering for Mike. Wait. Go ahead. Say that
Although
again.
I see Mr. Adderholt here, would you like me to go chase down another potential guest, or are they all scared of you now?
No, absolutely. He'll come on, and I will tell everybody about our race, and go right ahead and invite him on. That'd be
Okay.
great. So, all right, folks. Once again, I want to thank Ed and Janelle for inviting us to their house. It's these. There's about 100 residents here from the neighborhood Laguna Shores, and I know Ed was going to try and get Jim Adderholt on. We'll save Jim for last. Please. Okay, Margaret, that's a good idea. Can you ask Mike? Can you ask Mike to send me the form
I will.
so that I have the form and I can post the form? Because that's a great idea. Somebody just asked about the form. So, Marianne, it wasn't me. I love Democrats. I love Republicans. Oh, you're going to grab this one here. Sorry. And I like to do it by numbers. So there we go. So tell everybody who you guys are.
I'm Tom Gressman.
I'm Carol Gressman.
It's my lovely wife, Carol. I moved to Laguna Shores, Fort Myers Beach in 1969.
Wow.
My father retired from the Navy, and we bought the house next door. We built the house next door to my grandfather, who built in Laguna Shores in 1957.
Wow.
First house in the neighborhood. Second one to be lived in. He built it, and somebody moved in before him.
You're like a historian on the island.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You know,
I know a bit.
We are actually rebuilding Grandpa's house
Cool.
to come back after the storm.
We were talking before the show that you played in the Fort Myers Little League.
Fort Myers Beach Little League, and
Fort Myers Beach.
I thought of the first. So the first four teams. There was a Rotary, Kiwanis, Beach National Bank, and Carlos Bay Foodway were the four teams on Fort Myers Beach playing Little League.
Okay,
It was great.
I'm gonna throw this question out to the people in the audience now that are watching us. What did you say the name of the grocery store was?
Carlos Bay Foodway.
Does anybody that is watching know where the Carlos Bay Foodway was? If you know where that was, I want to see you type it in the chat box, because that would be amazing. When you told me where it was, I had no idea. Like, I try and brush up on the history of the beach as much as possible, talk to some people that have been here a long time, and I had no idea that it was where you said it was. So how long were you on the Fort Myers Beach Little League?
Fifth and sixth grade, perhaps?
Fifth and sixth grade.
Sixth
Very
grade,
nice.
yeah.
Very nice.
I want to say. And then I played Babe Ruth League
Nice.
in Fort Myers. We played at actually Terry Park,
Nice.
where the Royals used to train back in the day.
The Royals.
The Kansas City Royals trained in Terry Park off of Palm Beach Boulevard.
Wow.
back in the day, and we used their field. The Babe Ruth League used their field.
Dude, you look great for 100 years old. I'm just
Well, I
kidding.
don't know.
I would
No, I
never
look that
say
good.
that to a woman. I would never.
I tell you,
You look great at 35, by the way. So
my dad just passed at 103, and he looked great for
no
103.
shit. Wow,
103. Yeah.
Well, I think you read a letter from Tom's cousin Susie,
Yes.
and
I remember.
that was us.
Yes.
Yeah, Dad
Appreciate
wrote out the
that.
storm, and he saw his house go, and the shock. I
But
think
he
the shock.
survived the storm and then left,
Yes.
and then
because he saw his house underwater.
Yeah. It's been an incredible thing to hear the stories of people that live on the beach and have stayed, that did stay, or that they come back to their house or what was their house, and they look and it's just a pile of rubble. Whether it's your house or your business, it's just something that I don't know how you mentally get over that. I could never mentally get over that.
Oh, it's hard to get over it. I mean, he showed me a video. We stayed in our neighbor's house, and he showed me a video just the other day of our houses going underwater, and it was horrible.
How do you watch that? It's like when I remember back in the early days of the storm, you're watching like these. Like first I saw Sheriff Marcino's trailer float down the road, and then I saw, the water. Some of the things I remember, the water over the SOB, and then you see Hooters is gone, and then you see the Shamrock, and it's like none of that computes. Like that's not really happening. This is like a fake video. Like it doesn't make any sense. And then you come down the few days after the storm, and you're like, holy shit, that did happen.
Yeah.
Like the bay did connect to the Gulf of Mexico.
And then you realize that you don't have anything. So you go down to Buttonwood and get some charcoal and you light a grill, and you realize you don't have a pair of tongs, or you don't have a
grill,
toenail clippers, or you don't have all the little things.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's gone.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. And we'll be fine.
Right.
But
And of course,
that's difficult.
There's a lot of people on the beach that has experienced the same thing we do. You go reach for a bottle opener and
But people say that all the time because they're trying to make it seem like I'm okay.
Yeah.
But everybody goes through their own stuff in their own way, and so don't make it sound like everybody. Everybody's story is a good
Unique.
story to hear, and And so, 820 Buttonwood back in the day was almost like a meeting place of people to just go and hug each other.
Oh, yeah.
Because, they might have needed what was going on. And there was a lot of stuff that was being donated back in those days. But it was more of a place for people to see their friends and neighbors. And I don't know, maybe it was therapy at the time nobody knew.
I agree it was therapy. I agree.
And often you saw somebody that you had wondered about, and all of a sudden there they were. And you gave them a hug because I didn't know that you made it,
Yeah. Tell us about this neighborhood here. Tell us about this neighborhood here.
This is the greatest neighborhood ever. We just absolutely love it. Everyone here is so fantastic. The reason we're back is this neighborhood. We love our neighbors. We just couldn't be more driven to come back and hang. It's an interesting neighborhood because it's gone through transitions. Very recently, our little area of the neighborhood transitioned where a number of neighbors got older, and then they wanted to maybe get closer to family, or so they moved away.
Mm-hmm.
But then the new neighbors came in, and I always say it's perhaps because it's so quiet here that we attract the right crowd. This is not Lanikai. This is not the north end of the island.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the south end of the island too, so it's much quieter.
We're very quiet, and we get great folks down here. And every one of the homes that transitioned recently, the new neighbors, the Hornbacks, the Millers, everybody, they've just been fantastic.
Yeah.
And we couldn't be more happy in the neighborhood. Love it.
It's so funny that you say that, because in all the walk around videos that I do on Saturday, it's usually, if it's not at a condo, it's down the street, and it's almost like every street's their own little HOA, and they feel the same way about one or two streets
Sure.
that they have on Fort Myers Beach
Sure.
that they, all these neighbors, they might congregate at somebody's house for a party, or it's just the same kind of thing. And it's so cool about Fort Myers Beach. You got these little
enclaves. It's
And,
awesome.
I mean, who goes to an HOA meeting where there's like 100 friggin' people out here? I mean, that's. I mean, I know you're going to talk about some things that might be controversial, but still, you're at somebody's house for an HOA meeting that 100. Most HOA meetings, nobody shows up to. Nobody runs for the board. Nobody. They just don't want anybody peeking in their windows or making sure they have
That's
red
true.
mulch when
That's
it's supposed to be brown mulch.
Yeah. No, it's
Now I'm concerned that all our HOA meetings will be crashed by folks whose HOAs aren't so cool as ours.
No
So,
kidding.
yeah.
No kidding. And
the
so.
entertainment helps.
Yeah.
Thanks to Stephen Clark. It's
did
great.
It's
Yeah.
the
When I-
entertainment out front, and it's awesome.
I have to admit, I spend most of the time on the other end of the island because that's where our show is. But when I came down Buccaneer for the first time, I was like, wow. I mean, there's a lot of damage in this neighborhood. I mean, you can tell that the houses like this one that seemed to be built to code did fairly well.
Right.
But you look out the window and you see other houses that were
Right.
just
Well,
totally
the
destroyed.
houses from across on Estero Boulevard blew through like Buccaneer.
You hear that a
we
lot.
watched the houses just blow through. We saw them just rip our neighbors' houses apart because all that debris was just coming through, and
Yeah.
that's why Buccaneer is so
Shrapnel, yeah.
bad. Buccaneer
The
is
shrapnel. Yeah.
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 shrapnel.
Oh, you hear that? You hear that all the time about here comes a house and it's just about to knock down
Yep.
another cottage or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's so devastating to see.
Still sad. Every time we come, we're not back permanently. Hopefully within the month we'll be back in our house. But when
Cool.
we come down every day, it's still sad.
Yeah.
Still makes us sad.
What can you guys say to other people that are going through what you're going through? Like, they're here or they are on Fort Myers Beach, their dream paradise, and their house is either, destroyed or it's 55%, not 50%, or they're waiting for permits. I mean, what do you say to them? How can you give them some hope?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Patience, which is hard because we waited a long time for permits. I guess it's just depression. Tom and I will still say we go through roller coaster of depression. We're still shell shocked. We probably, I think Red Cross came too early. I think Red Cross, in the beginning, you're shocked. I mean, Tom and I walked out of the house in shock. I mean, we were zombies, and we walked up the boulevard with all the sand, and we were zombies. And Red Cross was there asking if we needed help, but we didn't know we needed help then. We were. So I think if you need help, go get help. Call Red Cross; they'll help you. Don't be embarrassed or ashamed that you're depressed, because we do. Tom and I go through roller coasters of good days and then really bad days. So, and of course, losing his father because of the storm, we haven't grieved for him yet. Once we get back home, I think that's probably when we'll have our time. So
When you feel depressed, how do you get over it?
I think I'm still depressed. I think I'm still in a fog.
Mhm.
I don't have mental clarity that I used to have. Sometimes Carol's talking to me and I just look at her and I'm just kind of not comprehending. I really think it's not over yet, and it's not going to be over for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to muddle through. You have to get your windows in and your roof on and your stuff done. And I think that maybe there's going to be a day when this is all, when we're in the house and it's all done and we're just going to freaking break down.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened yet.
And you'll say, wow, we just went through this storm of the century and we're okay. And the house looks good and we're healthy. And
so the house we live in, my grandfather built in 1957.
in this neighborhood,
Yes.
1957.
Right.
Wow.
And it went through Donna. And we all thought Donna was the...
What category was that? I don't even remember.
did they have
They didn't
categories
have
in
a
the
Stafford
60s?
Wow.
I don't think they did.
No
They
shit.
didn't have a
Wow.
Stafford Simpson scale back then. They don't know. But Donna was a direct hit on the mouth of the Caloosahatchee River. And it came right across the island. And we had water in my grandfather's laundry room, but not in the house.
Okay.
So I can tell you almost exactly how high the water was. And we all thought that was the end. That was it. we made it through Donna. That was going to be the one. Well, it wasn't the one. And so perhaps we were naive. Well, we were naive, absolutely. But
when I remember walking, and I apologize to people that are watching that heard me say this, but coming down Estero Boulevard and trying to go down the side streets, and you're seeing, bottles from the Whale that are six blocks down, or pieces of buildings that are. It looked like you couldn't walk down the street without going through somebody's backyard and front yard just to get to somewhere, and it was like a bomb was dropped on the island. And,
it was.
And I know people feel like things are going so slow and things like that, but there really has been a lot of work because there's so much work.
There's so much work.
You got to dredge the canals, and you got to pull shit out of the mangroves, and you're still knocking down buildings, and people are still knocking down their homes, and town hall is still standing. I mean,
with all the stinky furniture.
Yeah, and the Shamrock still looks like that. It fell on the Wicked Witch of the West, just sideways. I mean, there are just pictures in your mind that you're never going to be able to escape. But I mean, they'll build it stronger, and it'll withstand the next storm. And it's never going to be the old cottage place anymore. But it can't be. It can't be because it has to be built stronger. It's people like you that make the island. It's people like the Schoonovers that make the island. It's not the structures and the buildings. It's the neighborhoods.
Of course.
It's the neighborhoods like this neighborhood.
That's right.
Like all these people that are here.
Yeah, and you described it really well because all the little enclaves on the island, the 2 or 3 street groups, they're all little neighborhoods. Yeah, and this is just a great island, and it's a very diverse island.
Yeah.
We on the south end here like to be. I always like to say that I'm grateful to Conderis and Alanikai because it keeps the riffraff out of our neighborhood. Because we're quiet down here, and that's the way we want it.
Yeah.
But we'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
I can't wait to drive down this neighborhood someday soon and see all the houses perfectly structured, and have another party here in the garage.
Come to the next HOA meeting, which probably won't rock like this one does.
Well, thank you guys for coming on, and thank you for telling your story, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, folks, we are at the Schoonovers. We're in the Schoonovers garage, and they're getting ready for a big ass. I love talking to people and hearing their stories about what they went through. How they're surviving, how they're working through all the issues like that, and trying to keep it together while they're telling the stories. Without Kim here is a task in itself. So, it is a great night here on Fort Myers Beach. We're in Laguna Shores until 6 o'clock. Stephen Clark is playing. It's like a little block party they have going on here, but I want to make sure that I remind everybody that on April 29th, we got a little concert going on, and we'll give you all the details about that shortly. I'm going to give you Mike 3 right here. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him. You love him. Here he is, the Vice Mayor of Fort Myers Beach. What are you doing in Laguna Shores?
Well, this is we were invited to come to the Neighborhood Association meeting. They've got quite an agenda this evening, and we're going to listen and learn and answer questions if we can. And my uncle, Jim Steele, is right across the street, and he's a longtime Laguna Shores homeboy, if you will, and he loves this neighborhood. We love it, too.
Yeah. It's nice to see so many people, and we were just hearing some stories about the neighborhood and what they went through during the storm and how they're working through all the, it's almost like PTSD, Jim. You hear people trying to figure out what happened and trying to figure out how to move on and trying to figure out how to get past maybe the guilt of seeing people pass away. It's really an island-wide story with so many people.
I think everybody's got a different experience. Like for us, Brenda and I were here, as you remember, for the storm in our condo, and we walked on down. Actually, Karen Woodson gave us a ride down the day after the storm because I wanted to take some pictures of the place for my uncle, who was still in Indiana at the time, and he was heavily damaged on the first floor. His second floor did relatively well. So then he's 80 years old. He'll kill me if I say that, but he's 80 years old. He drove down here himself from Indiana probably about a month later and literally was living in his house with no electricity, no water. He's 80 years old, living by himself, and he was surviving. And that's what people. That's again this quintessential Fort Myers Beach quality of resilience. And then and a few weeks later, he shows up at a town hall meeting, and then we called him to be the next town manager for a week. So. And he was living literally while he was town manager. He had no power at his house, no water or sewer, and so it's just nuts. But the island has been through a lot.
One of the things I learned in doing these videos and expanding past Times Square, you go down a street or you go down in a neighborhood and you talk to people. It's like their own little neighborhood in Laguna Shores or Lazy Way or whatever the street is that you go on, and they've kind of become a little neighborhood on every street. It's not one giant HOA or something on the island. It's everyone's got their own little neighborhood, and they're trying to work together through this.
And there's a little niche in every neighborhood.
Yes.
And since the storm, since our condo's damaged, we've rented a place on Mango Street for a few months. Wonderful people. We're now renting a place on Tropical Shores Way. And I think even people even already the strong neighborhoods pre-storm would acknowledge that post-storm they've met neighbors that they just never had met before. And the bonding and the volunteerism and the kindness that has been demonstrated, particularly at the neighborhood level, has just been tremendous. And I see it on our street all the time. People we've met almost everybody in our street now. And it's just amazing. The storm has created a dynamic where everybody needs each other more. And it's really been a blessing in that sense.
Do you really think that people know how much this island was damaged? Every time I go down a new street, it's like, holy crap, I think I've seen it all.
No,
it's really devastating.
It's devastating. And I got a little dose of it yesterday. I got a wild hair and decided to go into the town hall and take some pictures because I wanted to see if the arches, the mural in the back of the chamber could be salvaged. And I don't recommend going in there, anyone. It was a little bit hairy, but it's you just saw the raw devastation. And, we've seen it with the homes that were destroyed and are no longer there, but you really see it in those structures that sort of are still standing but heavily damaged. That seems to illustrate the horror and destruction even more than the empty lots. And you see it in a number, even at Chapel by the Sea right next door.
Yep.
You just see the power and the destruction. So, but, we're in a rebuilding phase, and it's exciting, and there's tremendous optimism in the air. And I see it every day, and I see some of the potential plans and redevelopment options and visions. And I'm telling you what, this island is going to take off. It's going to be so spectacular. I really believe it. I'm not just saying that. I'm just not
Well, I was at Moss Marine yesterday because we're having a concert there in a couple of weeks, and I happened to run into the folks that are planning to do a nice little redevelopment there. And I said, are you going to do the water taxi? Because Jim's really big on the water taxi. He's like, hey, Jim's got a lot of demands. He wants a lot of things in return. So looks like he's got they look like they have a real nice project planned there.
They're doing it right. They're going to do a lot of listening first.
Yep.
Which is always important. And they're going to really take that public input and inculcate it into their plan. And I think I have had a chance to meet with them a number of times. It's not a water taxi. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be a water ferry that will take a large number of people up and down this island, potentially over to San Carlos Island, allowing people to get off Estero Boulevard. People on the south end can now go to the north end during season, not have to worry about traffic, have a nice cool beverage on the boat, watch the sun go down, have dinner on the north end, do some shopping, and then head back on the boat. It's going to be beautiful. And of course, Moss Marine has a lot of things planned. And again, they're going to incorporate a lot of things. They listen and hear from the public first. But the people running that operation are first class. They've got the financing, they've got the experience and the professionalism to really do something special there.
Yeah, and I did get an email from them today. They're planning like a community gathering in May, so it's not going to be something that they just throw in there. They want to hear the feedback from the community, like you said, which is
they're having a lot of one-on-one meetings, small groups with the neighbors that are most impacted first. Let them have some say and some input. Certainly the council members and the LPA have been invited to meet. I think there's going to be an opportunity for the media to get some additional information, hopefully at the end of this week. So, they're just really doing it very thoughtfully. And again, a lot of people, this is the time to give your input, but I'm really very impressed with their professionalism.
Yep.
And I think it potentially could be, the location, a lot of people don't think about that location until, Wahoo Willie's and Snug Harbor and Nervous Deli started cooking down there. And then, but you go back over the Moss Marine, they lost 4 of their 6 warehouses, and you stand back there, and the activity coming in under the bridge and all the marine activity, the boats. It's just beautiful. For a non-ocean side, you probably couldn't have a more beautiful spot on the island.
Yeah. And when you run a 5K, what is your time?
Well, no, yeah, that's an interesting question. I have been training on your course because that's real close to our beach access point on Tropical Shores Way. And I'm a little concerned because the trucks doing the emergency berm sand have created some real ruts in the road that could affect my time.
There's no ruts in the hard
there's
sand.
Tremendous
You're
ruts
making
that can
that
really
up.
slow down an older man like myself who just turned 60. So, it's going to be challenging. But I'm looking forward to having you see the back of my shirt as I pass by you. Now, Kim's a bigger challenge. I don't know if I can catch Kim, but I'm sure that, given the terrain advantage that I'll have, that you'll be in my dust in some capacity.
Well, I'm not running it because I have to organize it. But
how convenient! You're not running. That's an interesting.
What is your
excuse.
goal time? I want it on the record. What your goal time is?
It's interesting. It's so people who run on the beach, and I'm a big fan of running and biking on the beach. It really depends on where the tide is, how soft the sand is. Now, again, there is this factor of the ruts.
We're running out of time. We're running out of time.
So there's just too much volatility in the terrain to predict
30
an exact
or less.
time.
30 or less. It has to be 30 or less.
It needs to be from an embarrassment and from a
Yes.
humiliation standpoint. From your abuse, I probably need to get under 30. That will certainly be a goal.
So we're here because, I've never been to an HOA meeting where there are so many people. So it's like a block party with Stephen
These
Clark
folks,
playing.
they all know each other.
Yeah.
When I ran for office, I walked this whole neighborhood. People were so friendly, so gracious, and there really is a unity on this on this part of the. Quite honestly, in every little niche of this island, but this in particular, they really do it right.
And they're going to talk about at their meeting at 6:00. They're hoping that they might be able to do a little swap with the town. Or
Well, I think there's going to be some discussion about how the town and the neighborhood association could partner on a number of things. They've got some dredging challenges. They've got some common areas that they're looking at. And again, I think we're going to I've got Keith Wilkins with us, which is always great.
Yep.
Because we're going to have some permitting questions. I'm sure I've already talked to a couple folks here that are having some permitting challenges. So we'll try to work through those and hopefully give people a vision for the future because and I think this summer and fall will be a little rough. But once we get through this fall,
why do you say?
I just think it's just going to slow down. Just in terms of the traffic on the island.
Gotcha.
The traffic, it'll be less traffic, which will be good for those of us who are trying to rebuild and survive down here. But the businesses are really going to need us to support them during this off cycle.
You could tell already it's starting to slow down. Yeah.
But I think it's so important for the locals and the construction people to eat and patronize our people on the island, because if we don't shop local now, some of these shops are not going to make it through the summer and the fall.
We have to figure out a way to do more events. Every weekend there needs to be an event,
especially in the off season.
Yes,
and you're so good about that. And Jackie Lisek has a great vision for that kind of stuff at the chamber. But to partner with all these communities, I think Alex King is here tonight. This is his neighborhood. He's talked about sponsoring some scholarships for people who come up with good ideas to do events in the off season. And I'd love to see the sandcastle competition come back. It may be a little early given
But they're even with that, you can figure out a way to maybe call Bill and say, can we do it on a smaller basis at least, so that we're bringing more people to the island? Or
we've got to think outside the box. And I think we have a council now that really will welcome any kind of clever idea to generate events and activity on the island. Again, particularly during this off season.
So are you feeling good about how things are moving forward?
I'm really optimistic about our new town manager. Andy Hyatt is somebody who seems to, I spent the day with him. I've done a lot of research on him. I can't tell you honestly if I know him well, but at the same time, in my experience of hiring various folks, he's got integrity. He's got the right experience. He has the right demeanor. And I'm just hopeful that he'll be a good fit for our island. I'm pretty confident he will be. I like the package that we're proposing for a contract with him, but I just think he's somebody I hope everybody gives a chance, takes some time to get to know. He seems to have that Southern hospitality charm, very much like Keith does. And I think he's going to be a success.
Something I wrote about today was that it was a 180 having Keith and Chris here because of the communication they had with the community. And this council has been from you and Dan and Karen and John always being available. Dan doing the show every Monday. I just hope it's the same way, because I think that the people saw the difference when the new council came in and Chris and even to me, I was in shock. Like Chris and Keith are like totally available. You don't want to abuse that and overdo it, but they were so available for questions and that people might not like the answer, but they're getting an answer as opposed to not getting an answer.
It's such a serious time on our island, and people deserve to be treated like adults, citizens. Again, this concept of servant leadership where the public officials work for the citizens, because information is power. And sadly, there were times in the past that it was clutched closely to the vest. We need to just get that information out there, whether it's good news or bad news or hard news or tough news. We got to get it out there. People they're tough. They understand that as long as we're honest with people and we get that information out there. Abraham Lincoln said, let the people know the facts and the country will be saved. There's so much truth to that, but at the same time, it builds a trust between the citizenry and the elected officials and the town staff that we have to keep building that trust, because we got a lot of work to do, because it's such a tough time for the island, but communication is everything. And there's no need to keep it contained. I mean, we acknowledge we got challenges. I mean, why would we hide that? Why would we share that with the community? There's such a great volunteerism in our community. We have all these wonderful advisory committees. I mean, people are ready to step up and help. We got to give them some direction as to how best they can help.
You brought some notes? Did I miss anything before?
No, this is just the agenda for the meeting.
I see. All right.
Just kind of a procedural agenda.
Well, thank you for coming on, and I
Thanks,
know
Ed.
that we're going to have a busy meeting. And
you need me to snag you another guest? Because
no,
you don't
we're
have
good.
Kim Welch
It's 6
working for you.
o'clock. It's 6
You're
o'clock.
timing out? Okay.
I'm going to tell everybody about our events, and we're going to enjoy the meeting.
I hope everybody does sign up for the run, and I want people to realize, Ed doesn't talk about this because he's so hardcore, but you don't have to run the race.
Nope.
You can come down and just walk the race.
Yes.
My wife's had some back issues, so she's going to walk the 5K. You can walk the 1 mile. You can run the 1 mile. So the walkers, we've got a lot of walkers on this island. I encourage you to sign up for this race, support such a wonderful cause at Buttonwood. But at the same time, it's a great sense of community when we have these events like this. Then everybody comes spend lots of money at our local shops and restaurants afterwards.
Thank you, Jim. Jim Matterholt, everybody,
Thanks,
the vice mayor of Fort Myers Beach. He's always been a great fan of the show and a great contributor to the show, and he signed up for the 5K race, and hopefully we're going to put the first place medal on him in the, I think he said 60. I think he just turned 60. The race is May 13th. It's called the Day Before Mother's Day. My plan was to do it on Mother's Day. I wanted to do it on Mother's Day, but my wife said people don't want to run a race on Mother's Day. They want to spend time with their mother. So we're going to do it the day before Mother's Day. We're up to 180 registrations, and mostly women, I have to say, because obviously women care more about their fitness than dudes do. I mean, you see all the time that the dudes just got beer bellies on them. They're just sitting around drinking and eating, and the ladies are keeping themselves in shape. So we need more male registrations. I think it's $30 or $35. The goal for us is to write a $10,000 check to the folks at Buttonwood. So we need 300 registrations. Now you can run it virtually if you're in Minnesota or Chicago or Ohio or wherever you are. You can run it virtually. We'll mail you a shirt. You can send us a picture from wherever you're running from, and the money's going to a great cause. The sponsorships have been great. We have 18 sponsors, and that's going to help cover most of the expenses, if not all of the expenses, and then all the registration money will be given right to FMB Strong. So that's coming up May 13th. Don't forget, on April 29th, we have the concert with Stephen Clark at the Moss Marina. We're going to have Bill Beck is Stephen's contribution to the concert. And then Split Decision. By the way, Split Decision is playing tonight at Margaritas. They're going to be rocking the crowd at the Moss Marina at 6 o'clock. They'll start. It's going to be a nice stage setup. We went out there yesterday and we saw how the setup is going to be. And there's going to be the Tuckaway Cafe food truck. So if I do it virtually, you could just send a picture. But I'm not sure I'll have to ask my guy how the times work. If there's a way that if you're running it virtually, if you're going to be included in the time thing, I'll ask him about that because I don't know the answer to that. If everyone can contribute like somehow through the app or an app or something, so that you can be included in whether or not you're in the top 3 or stuff like that. So let me get back to you on that. It's a good question, Jan. So the concert again is April 29th, and it's for the Beach Kids Foundation. So if you saw the story in the newsletter today, we're trying to collect backpacks for the Beach Kids Foundation. If you're not coming to the concert, you can do it on the Amazon wish list. Now, I have to be honest with you. compared to the days back in the beginning when we were collecting stuff for Buttonwood, not a lot of stuff for this wish list. So I'm hoping you guys can jump on there and contribute to the Beach Kids Foundation, because I don't want to look like a fool and not be able to give anything to the Beach Kids Foundation. So it's on the website today, in the newsletter today, and you can check it out. So tomorrow morning, we'll be back at the Wahoo Willies. Folks, I have 18 beach towels for tomorrow. First come, first serve. They're $27. Oh, they're so soft. Soft on my skin, soft on my buttocks if I was laying on the beach. We'll have 18 of them tomorrow at Wahoo Willies. I get there at 9:30 to set up, and I look forward to seeing you all there. We got plenty of Vibe shirts every size. We got tank tops every size. We're stocking it up. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Jessica, for setting up all the wish lists for me. I'm about to watch an HOA meeting for the first time in my life. I don't think I've ever watched an HOA meeting. Everybody have a great weekend. Love ya. Bye-bye.